I finally played Demon's Souls, and before you get excited about the PS5 remaster, which is 6 years old by the way, let me stop you right there. I played the real Demon's Souls, the OG Demon's Souls. Demon's Souls. It's possessive. That's right, I went to a retro game store because apparently the PS3 is 20 years old now, and I got myself a brand new, shiny, used, overpriced PlayStation and a copy of the game. And I prepared myself to experience the magic that started it all. I gave my character a very cool and original name and picked the Magician class. I already had a build in mind from the start, and I swear I had no idea just how OP magic was in this game, but also, magic's kinda fun to use. I spent a while creating my character and can only describe it as the absolute worst mix between Jinx and Ducky from The Land Before Time. The opening cutscene was absolute cinema, and very informative. How else was I supposed to know that old King Allant aroused the old one? Seems very important to the lore. TLDR, demons bad, take human soul, human go crazy, super fun murder time. But demon souls also strong. We want, we take. They make us powerful. And humans are on the endangered species list. And I am the chosen one, the last hope of Boletaria. Also yes, Umbasa shirts are officially available at burd69.store. It's a good time. Our journey begins in the tutorial area, because it says so on the top right of the screen. And thank goodness it does, because how else would I have known? I take a moment to familiarize myself with the game's controls, but hey, I'm sure it's exactly like the other Souls games, right? And the sound of my footsteps in water is almost loud enough to distract myself that I'm playing this game in 720p at 30 FPS. On a good day. My first encounter proved my suspicion that spells might be a little too strong, and my second encounter proved that I still got it. I made my way through the ramparts of the keep, absolutely destroying the tutorial enemies. Yeah, I'm him. And I picked up my first bundle of dank herbs. Now, I will say I'm not the biggest fan of healing items in these games being farmable consumables, but we'll see how this develops as the game goes on. I made my way to the land below, and it was really awesome to see where the Torch Hollows got their movesets from, and I also learned that I'm gonna need some stronger burd, because this stuff was barely taking the edge off. I touched the Archstone, and might I add, the loading screens in this game were one of my favorite parts. The art was just phenomenal, and sure, there might have been some spoilers, but, you know, better to be prepared. I traversed the fog gate, and it was time to take on the tutorial boss, proving my skill by killing it on the first try. Close your eyes. No one saw that. Cutscene time. It sounded to me like a Souls mommy was close, and it also sounds like she has bare feet. I do hope she doesn't say something vaguely sensual every time we have to go level up. That'd be weird. Anyway, she gives me a little sprinkle to take the edge off, and I come to in the Nexus, which is basically like Round Table Hold, which is basically like Firelink Shrine, which is basically like Majula, which is basically like Firelink Shrine again. Also, super awesome that your health is reduced by 50% when you're hollowed. I mean, in soul form. I'm glad to see the maniacal laughter of NPCs was also included in Demon's Souls, and the depressed guy on the stairs pointed me toward the Archstone when I was ready to suck the soul from some demons. But before venturing forth, I said hello to Stockpile Thomas and gave a fine how do you do to Boldwin. I can't tell if he hates his job, or hates me, or has just gone through this cycle of helping a strapping new adventurer infinitely and is totally over it. He also told me about another blacksmith in Stonefang Mine. I'm sure we'll be seeing him soon. Also, I'm not sure if it's a bug or not, but no footstep sounds, no rolling noises. Weird. Maybe it's because I'm in soul form. That would be really cool. Anyway, after exploring a bit of the Nexus, I went to go touch the Archstone of Lord Farquaad and enter 1-1, as the cool kids call it. What a heckin' cutscene. POV, you're a dragon and you just found out that the super sick noises that you make got repurposed for little blue wimpy drakes in Dark Souls 1. I get it. I'd be mad too. My blue-haired emo ass made it to the first level, and magic was already proving to be a very useful tool in the belt. Except for, you know, if an enemy was gingerly walking to the side because it has no tracking whatsoever. I made a few guys drop into the Boletarian Sarlacc pit and then decided that it's probably a good idea to play cautiously, seeing as how I'm at 50% health right out the gate. This guy agrees with me. I found myself a new sword, but unfortunately in this case it is about the size of the sword and not the motion of the attacks that does it for me. The parry in this game feels super clean. I'm not sure if the window is larger than the other installments or if I'm just chill like that, but every enemy I saw was getting reposted like an iFunny meme in 2012. I almost got undead asylumed by a hollow pushing a boulder. Dude thinks he's slick, but joke's on him, I was able to get my hands on the Jon Snow sword. The guys in big armor looked pretty menacing, but once again, everything in this game feels so easy to parry. Plus 100 aura, and I also stole his weed. Whoever designed this staircase is absolutely evil, and journeying down it was probably the worst thing that people had to go through in 2009. Except for maybe Bad Luck Brian, he probably went through worse. Gets to live forever. in Boletaria. I decided to not hoard consumables and use them to my advantage. That's right, people, we are using the tools that video games give us in 2026. That's right. And I made my way down the stairs. The bombs, paired with the ranged fire magic, made it a little more bearable than I anticipated. And once I got to the bottom, I opened a shortcut and picked up the Cling Ring. I would absolutely trade a ring slot for a little bit more max HP when in soul form. I made my way through a fog gate and tested the graphics power of my PlayStation 3 before clearing the area on easy mode and discovering my first NPC. Patches? Is that you? Look what they've done to my boy. I bought some grass, mostly because I can't level up yet, and I didn't want these souls going to waste. It was time to go back to where I came in and perform a little bit of parkour to chat with this guy. I don't know, buddy, I think you look way more equipped to deal with these things than I do. But I cleared out the area and then said hello to my new best friend, Ostrava. I certainly hope nothing bad happens to him later. He's a bit of a wimp, but he's trying his best, and that's what we love about him. I did, however, feel like it was my personal duty to follow him around, clearing everything in his way so that my little Pookie didn't die. In the process, I used all my fire bombs, and I sure hope I don't need those for, like, a boss or something later. That would sure suck. Here's where I thought I was being very smart. I saw the balls. I saw the sloped path. Tell me why I thought it was a good idea to stand in front of the boulders while I cut their restraints. I swear, this guy's an idiot. Ooh, dragon. I don't know of anything funny to call spice yet, but it's a consumable that you use to refill your MP. Very useful. I also think it's interesting that they went from an MP bar in Demon's Souls to limited casts in Dark Souls 1 and 2, and then back to an MP bar. Maybe they just gave up and realized that magic was going to be OP in any FromSoft game regardless of limited casts. Seeing a dragon earlier in a bridge full of enemies made me suspicious that, yep, there it is. And I figured out the closest spot I could stand to the bridge without getting toasted alive, and then sprinted while the dragon was rolling a d6 to see if it got its breath attack back. I then pulled a lever and got hit with another sick cutscene. I sure hope I don't get hit by one of those. I made my way down another upsetting staircase, except this one was blocked by, well, looks like some enemy types just never go out of style. And they seem to be weak to fire. Gosh, I hope the boss isn't like one big one of those or anything. I unlocked the shortcut on this side, drank some Tabasco, and then entered the fog gate of my first boss, the Phalanx. And I guess it does make sense that the Phalanx is formed by a bunch of little guys versus one big one. Now, I've heard through the grapevine that a lot of the bosses in Demon's Souls are gimmick bosses, and since the game was basically force-feeding me fire-damaging items, I only assumed I was supposed to use them here. I was stocked up on my magic, turpentine, and spice, but I will forever be wishing that I didn't waste all of my fire bombs. I ran around taking out the little guys best I could, but the real boss was hidden underneath them all. Excuse me, can I hoplite past you? Thank you. The lock-on felt a little wonky at times, but hey, magic OP. I was able to expose the big mama underneath and, press R1 a few times, I guess. Easy peasy. I also imagine it would be pretty easy with melee, but honestly, using a bunch of fire bombs to just rain fire on this thing from above would have been a hoot. Anyway, the Phalanx got flanked, and killing the first boss rewarded me with my human form and a full health bar. It was time to go back to the Nexus and show Souls Mommy that I killed my first demon, and I swear Miyazaki knows what he's doing. This is where the feat started. Why on earth do we need to start with the feet and then pan up? Wild stuff. Anyway, she told me to go see someone called the Monumental, and I swear I ran around the Nexus for about 10 minutes or so before realizing that one singular bald person had a lit candle in front of them. Classic. With the rest of the air nomads deceased, Aang here was the only one left to tell me of my destiny. The rest of the archstones were unsealed, and I was on a journey to sing the old one a lullaby. I think I can handle that. I went back to the Maiden in Black, and she asked me to
touch the demon inside me.
Interesting. Anyway, I was granted the strength to mend the world and also wield my bastard sword, and then it was back into the first archstone I go to clean up some of the Phalanx deserters. And I also ran into Ostrava again, who seemed to be in quite the pickle. I sure hope this doesn't turn into another Siegmeyer situation. Cross the smoldering bridge I went, and to everybody's surprise, the source of the smoldering shows itself. This is gonna be fun. I found a way to go down to where I can only assume Ostrava was pissing himself, and honestly, a little help from him would be nice, but once again, Papa has to do everything himself. It's me. I'm Papa, but lucky for me, magic OP. I also picked up the Gash Resistance Ring. Hashtag Master Gas 2018. Any, Any Letterkenny fans around here? Anyway, I saved my best friend in the world once again, and to repay me, he gave me some of the dankest grass I have ever seen. Like, top shelf stuff, bro. And then I once again followed him to make sure he didn't get into any other trouble while he was down here. I made another break across Bad Dragon Bridge and absolutely decimated the poor schmucks at the end of it. They were so enamored by my beauty, they didn't even try to fight back. Then I went down and once again found myself perusing the wares of dollar store patches. I mean, he doesn't have the best product, but hey, it's cheap. There was one final segment of flame-fleeing mayhem, and it's easy enough if you don't get distracted by shinies. Then I employed the tried and true strategy of run like hell and pray there's a shortcut coming up. Or a boss. A boss works too. I felt like I was Shrek in Lord Farquaad's castle, except there was no keg of root beer for me to use to turn the tables. It was root beer, right? And if there's anything I learned from the Taurus Demon, it's that I do not want to be fighting this thing while I'm getting peppered with arrows. I made my way up the sides of the arena and took out the crossbow-wielding assholes, and I had to waste a decent amount of grass doing so. But after a while, it was finally just me and the tin can ready to duke it out. This boss is really where I learned about the dodge mechanic of this game and how it's not really like the other ones. I mean, sure you have iframes, but using your iframes in order to dodge attacks and stay close to the boss and get hits in doesn't really feel effective. It feels like it's more about spacing and being smart about when you're going in for attacks versus running like hell and praying you don't get clapped. Especially for a boss like this. Yes, it's another gimmick boss, but as long as it's not the bed of chaos, I am all for gimmick bosses. The name of the game was Razor Scooter to the ankles, and after enough hits, they started shooting blue magic ooze. And then I had to learn that I needed to weaken both ankles, and then it turned into an Iron Golem situation. Enough hits makes the Tower of Terror fall down, and make sure you watch out when it's falling, because it can hit you. Clearly. But once knocked down, it just kind of lays there and lets you go to town on the head, and then after a few hits it gets back up, refortifies its ankles, and it's ready to go for round 2 after a relatively short refractory period. It took me 3 cycles to actually learn that it would hurt me on its way down, and I skillfully evaded the fall, and the Tower Knight cowered in fright as I said good night. I ran back to Soul Mommy and touched the demon inside her for some more juicy levels, and then I bought more grass from Boldwin, and Ostrava was here, chilling in the Nexus. I went to talk to him, and definitely paid attention to his lore dump. For my second Archstone, I picked the Tower of the Queen and head to, prison, I think. And I'm really not above hitting these guys in the cells that can't fight back because Papa needs those souls. Also, I'm not sure if the ominous pots really do anything, but better safe than sorry. Turns out this prison has guards, and I'm not really one for calamari, but I hear it's a dish best served fried. Say it with me, folks. Magic O.P. I picked up the key for this floor and opened every door for good measure, and then headed back to the other side where Squidward used magic to subdue me to get revenge for his betentacled brethren. I fried him too. This level isn't the most boring when you play it, but looking back, there's really not much of interest. I got some keys, opened some cells, dominated the Squid Games. Not that Squid Games, different Squid Games, not affiliated with Netflix. Then I got the Silver Coronet, which I refused to take off for quite some time because I misread raises maximum MP for raises maximum HP. I found a 6 set of armor, talked to Princess Peach well past her prime, met a wizard pondering his orb, did a little classic From Software parkour, watched whatever happened here, and then cheesed the absolute out of this thing. Because there was no way I was gonna fight that. I refused to fall for the Crystal Lizard's tricks, and I was finally home free and out of prison. Kind of. That thing looks like it could pose a bit of an issue. I snuck back inside, opened a few doors, and wound up on the other side of the menacing Hwacha. However, the fog gate kind of scared me, so I decided to investigate the top of the tower. But with nothing up there to pique my interest, I had no choice but to brave the fog, disable the trap, and pick up all the shinies I could. The grand staircase was calling to me, and so was the most insanely tanky Red Phantom NPC I have ever seen in my entire life. She almost took me out. I was just able to take a hit of grass before the slow but deadly volley of arrows ended me. It appeared that enemies at this point couldn't input read my spells, but honestly, this NPC was harder than all of the bosses I had faced up until this point. And speaking of bosses, I was welcomed into the humble abode of the Fool's Idol. Another heckin' cutscene boss. Guys, look, she has her feet out. I can fix her. The enemies in the area seemed to be more entranced with her toes than I was, but I took them out just to be sure. I didn't want to take any shots from behind when it was my turn to inspect those grippers. It seemed Miss Idol got the memo about magic, and she was dealing some pretty good damage herself. It was a slow-paced fight, and I got a little too greedy to deal damage and didn't notice that she had home aloned the entire arena. It was like a mix between Gwendolyn and Pinwheel, where after a few hits she would relocate, and also summon some clones just to mess with my head. You can actually tell which ones are the clones because they're the ones that have shoes on. Yeah, just kidding, but imagine. The clones shoot little magic dribbles of piss, whereas the real Fool's Idol hits you with the full spray. I can imagine this fight might be a little hard for you low IQ sword users, but for an intellectual like myself, I could stand behind a pillar for as long as I please. Heal up, shoot up some spice, and then toss some fire at her at my leisure. I landed the killing blow and she wasn't dead. Not cool, bro. If only there was something that would have warned me about this. Like a message in the arena or something. I went out of the arena and up the other tower and found the Fool's Idol's tier 3 sub up above waiting to revive her. Smack first and ask questions later. Well, I guess I can't really ask questions seeing as how he's dead, but I also think I got the key to free the Wizzy. Either way, I was the real fool here and had to kill the boss once again. Oops, but it was just as easy as the first time. GG, lady. Immediately after, though, I was scooped up by Batwing demons and taken to a place that surely I don't want to be yet, so ta-ta for now. I did make my way back to Free Magic Mike, though. Back in the Nexus, I found this lady and... Oh, umbasa. She was trying to give me a lore dump, but all I could focus on was... umbasa. And then I ran into this guy that I had never seen in my entire life, and he tried to take credit for me braving that prison to save Babu Freak, or whatever his name is. It was nice, though, because I got my hands on a little soul arrow. But also really weird that you have to talk to the spell teacher in order to change out your spells. I'm glad they changed that in future games.
Oh my gosh, he switched hands, no way.
Onward to Stonefang Tunnel, because I don't know about you, but that sounds like the place another blacksmith would love to hang out. I got war flashbacks to Sen's fortress before quickly learning that my sword was not going to cut it damage-wise. Oh no, whatever shall I do? Anyway, I got jumped by Balto and his crew, and I was about to say I hate dogs in FromSoft games, but clearly these dogs are the reasons why they're a little bit more menacing in other games. Not much going on upstairs. And then this Reddit mod and I had a very boring spell war from across a hallway. Still better action than Harry Potter, though. Another man in a top hat was waiting for me across a very ominously rickety-looking bridge. I sure hope this doesn't fall out from under me or something. Damn it, what a minor inconvenience. Nick Walenda has nothing on me, and I very carefully crossed the beam to punish this big guy for making me do more cardio, and then I pulled a lever to open the... Oh, you gotta be kidding me. Stonefang Tunnel? More like, holy shit, if I have to loop through this section of the game one more time, I'm gonna lose a gasket. Tunnel. It was Foggate time and more level. I've said it once and I'll say it again, I absolutely miss the mid-level fog gates. Is it gonna be a boss? Is it gonna be more level? Is it gonna be a shortcut? Who knows? It's fun, it's awesome, it's cool. Bring it back, please. I couldn't help but think that these lizards were luring me into a trap though, so once again my ranged option came in clutch. I swiftly made it out of the cave, and to my absolute joy, I found what looked like a shortcut leading back to the crazy old guy at the beginning of the level, but I wasn't ready to turn in just yet. I yearned for the mines, and I was destined to venture further, and I was also destined to get minorly inconvenienced once again by a falling bridge. Also, I swear every crystal lizard in this game is a masochistic asshole that would love nothing more than to see me perish and be the one to bring me to my demise. I killed more lizards and then found another lever and called me Soldier Boy because I absolutely cranked that. Yeah, that's right. I'm pretty cool. I ran for dear life and just barely caught myself before running into a room of doom where I calmly diffused the situation and then we exchanged fireballs until I came out on top. I found an elevator that took me down, and it was at this point where I discovered the carry weight mechanic. That's right, not equip load, carry weight. Your entire inventory counts towards the items that you are allowed to have on your person. Oh, an item would overburden you. You can't pick that up. Oh, you can't pick that up. You're carrying too many things. Super fun, right? But you know me, I'm a Souls player, which means I'm going to complain about this any chance I get, not learn from it, and also never utilize Stockpile Thomas back in the Nexus. Regardless, my anger was quickly soothed when I came across another boss fight. This encounter seemed pretty menacing, not just for me, but for my poor frickin' PlayStation. It was really trying its best to keep up, But between all the spider webs and fire bombs and everything going on, we were both fighting for our lives. That is, until I found myself a safe little cubby. Look, I'm sure this fight is really awesome and cinematic and not upsetting at all as a melee user, but my mage instinct fight or flight kicked in and it was do or die. And I'm not sure if you noticed, but I haven't died up until this point and I wasn't planning to do so now. I poked my little head out to discharge my magic and then I would cower for safety. I mean, sure, I could still get hit, but I didn't really feel like I was ever in any danger. I had all the time in the world to spark up some grass, huff my spice, and before long the spider got squashed. Or, you know, pelted with a bunch of soul arrows over the span of 8 minutes. I guess armor doesn't protect against cheese, am I right? Also, is this some sick, twisted joke? Is this my punishment for being a magic user? Souls have weight now? Are we serious? Oh, I wonder what implications this has for the lore. I was so excited to see what Sage Freak had to offer in terms of boss spells that I accidentally Goomba stomped him, but he's a very understanding man. However, with nothing there to pique my interest, I popped the hard demon soul. Really? Are we serious with this? The hard demon soul? Surely I can't make a joke about that. I wonder if the little blue pills of magic had anything to do with how hard that demon soul was. Am I right? Investigating a little bit further from the Armored Spider's Archstone, I think I would actually prefer to go to the Valley of Defilement. It was time to put on my big boy pants. I wonder what this place has in store. Also, besides magic, shields seem very OP. The stability that I get from even just a small round shield is enough to send the enemy off balance and give me ample time to get a backstab in or just a counterattack. This can't be real. The speed at which you climb ladders in this game cannot be real. Who's responsible for this? I sure hope they fix that in the remake. Also, the guys in this area were weird and tried to keep selling me a little blonde child who was really good at pod racing, and they really just wouldn't take no for an answer, so I had to send a stronger message. Down and down I ran, killing Alf's family and friends, and you gotta be frickin' kidding me. Are you serious? Top 3 worst things in this game. 1. The carry weight mechanic. 2. The speed at which you climb ladders. And 3. The umbasa lady has shoes on. This was also the closest I had come to death so far, but I took a moment to clear my head and hit a few blinkers and managed to come out on top. The giant blood-filled bugs in this game were by far the most upsetting enemy so far. I don't really have anything clever to say, they're just annoying. And gross. They really ticked me off. Just my luck there was a dealer down here, but she definitely had a monopoly on the market and knew it and took advantage of it. Too rich for my blood, lady. I know when I'm getting hosed. I'm a really nice person though, and I took care of the rat problem in her basement before catching the heckin' plague. The plague? Seriously? I thought we eradicated that. I guess that's what happens when America leaves the WHO. The very upsetting and tanky big guy gave me a run for my money, and I was brought close to death once again. I have barely dipped my toe in this area, and it is already proving to be the most deadly. More plagues and bugs and wattos, oh my. But I finally made it down to the first boss of the Archstone. A filthy, disgusting, writhing mass of leeches. The Leechmonger. Yuck. Lucky for me, I was ready with fire this time. Unfortunately, I was fresh out of spice, but I had turpentine for my sword and I made my way down for the impending battle. I definitely could have done without the big balls of leeches being tossed in my general direction from across the arena though. They do a considerable amount of damage and I don't like how they wiggle. It also appears that the leech status effect, or whatever you want to call it, reduces the healing ability of my tightly rolled crescent grass blunts. It was time to go on the offensive, and this dude was definitely weak to fire, but the flailing around made it very hard to avoid damage, and the leeches sucking on my Bolitarian butthole made it hard to out-heal that damage. I did my best to get my hits in and then run away to narrowly avoid death, but it turns out the Leechmonger had the same idea and it started to heal. I could not let that slide. I kept the pressure on and decided to play even more aggressively to limit just how much this monster could regenerate. I two-handed my sword for more damage and remained mobile. No, I'm not panic rolling. I'm remaining mobile. It's a valid combat tactic. Gosh. I was running low on bud and these leeches were constantly draining my health, but I was not about to die to this moron. I took a moment to catch my breath and returp my tine, and the leech mass tried to heal to hold on a little longer. I did not learn any moves. I did not dodge. I face tanked it all and spammed R1 until my green bar was empty. I was fresh out of grass. It was now or never, just a few hits away from victory. The music was tense. My ass was clenched. I took a flailing blow, but I got up and finished the job. The music faded, and the leeches stopped draining my health. just in time. Compared to the Leechmonger, I was just a beat stronger. Can we workshop that one? Back in the Nexus, I got freaky with some magic and decided to trade in the Wiggling Soul for the Poison Cloud spell. I also touched the Maiden's Souls. That's S-O-L-E-S, and I got some more levels in Vitality. I then decided to push onward from the Leechmonger's Archstone in hopes of finding my first Archdemon. And with the bridge conveniently lifted, there was only one way to go, down into the, yeah, you guessed it, Poison Swamp. Of course, there's a poison swamp in this game. It's funny to me how in this game there's no status bar for status effects. You're just sitting there chilling, doing your own thing, walking through water, and then you got poisoned, idiot. Should have avoided it, idiot. How'd you not know you're getting poisoned, idiot? At least the movement penalty didn't seem so bad compared to other poison swamps I know. I carefully made my way along the outskirts of the poison swamp, picking up as many items as I could and avoiding enemies, and eventually made it to a fog gate. The rickety bridge was leading me upwards and I ran into an old nemesis. Heckin' skeeters. I dealt with them from safety and then started twerking? I don't know. I guess the mosquitoes have a grab attack, but I killed it on the same frame that it initiated the grab attack, so my character still did the animation even though nothing was happening. There ain't no bugs on me. There ain't no bugs on me. There may be bugs on some of you pugs, but there ain't no bugs on me. Shout out Canine Advantix. Don't shout out Canine Advantix. They're not sponsoring. They just had a commercial that was really good like 10 years ago. I kept going up and up, and the enemies got more dense. They were coming at me from all sides, and I tried to dispatch them best I could, but I finally succumbed to the Valley of Defilement and got my first death in Demon Souls. Feels quite fitting that it was fall damage too. Time to give it another go, but be way less aggressive. Be one with the cheese. Be one with the magic. I have a ranged option, I might as well use it. Now this is gameplay. I also forgot to mute my microphone for this section of the recording, so if you happen to hear me yapping in the background, I apologize. Oh my gosh, frames. Back in the swamp, I was no longer afraid of gravity, but there were skeetos and slugs with upsetting faces. I do know that the sword that I want is close. I can feel it in my loins. I also know that it is guarded by a huge nest of slugs, but that's all I really know. I took my time taking out more big guys, but they were exploiting my one weakness as a mage, walking slowly to the side. How on earth did they find out? I swatted some skeetos and did some more parkour up the rotting 2x4s, killing slugs as I went, and when I got to the top, I took out as many as I could, and I was finally ready to claim my prize. I just needed to hit this down and... Death number 2, baby. I made the painstaking journey all the way back, and this time, after clearing out my slimy slug foes, I stood where I was actually meant to knock down the big mass of them. Like there's a railing and everything. Yes, I'm a dumbass, thank you for asking. The slugs fell into the swamp, and all that was left was for me to follow suit and claim my prize. Well, after clearing out a little bit of the area first. But there was no frame rate drop that could stop me from obtaining my beloved, my pride and joy, my moonlight greatsword. Sorry, I mean my large sword of moonlight. How could I be so foolish? The slugs attacked my PS3's CPU directly as I was leaving the area, but they were no match for this refurbished hardware. I have my sword and I'm happy, although I can't wield it quite yet. I'm not sure if it was the rush of getting my absolute favorite sword from the Souls series or if I still had some grass in my system, but I was feeling the high, and I pushed through the fog gate and entered what I like to call the Run Like Hell segment. Every playthrough has one, and mine just happens to be here. My fight or flight response kicked in, and because I'm a magic user, I choose flight. I pushed my way past the enemies and made it back to the bridge that I saw at the beginning of the level, kicked it down, and made my way back to the Nexus to sort out some levels. I pumped all my souls into magic because clearly, like all the other Souls games, the large sword of moonlight is a magic weapon and had a magic requirement, right? Who needs to read, right? After that very smart investment, I decided to go into the Archstone of the Shadow Men. Very ominous sounding. 3 spooky, 5 me. I was immediately greeted by what I can only describe as a T-800 somersaulting at me at Mach 5 speed. I heckin' love parry. These things were ruthless, deadly, and in sync? Okay, that was actually kind of cool. Cool enough to distract me from the fact that I was getting my pushed in. Death number 3. Sad. Well, this area sucks, and I sure hope that big demon from the tutorial part of the game isn't waiting for me around the corner somewhere. Hey, wait a second. I almost got absolutely Sen's Fortress, and the trap even made the same noise as that wretched place. This guy outside looked pretty menacing, and I had no choice but to outplay him with my skill. I also picked up a falchion that I will absolutely not be using. I carried on through the tight hallways before making it to Snuggly's tree. Or Sparkly's tree? Twinkly's tree. Sparkly Twinkly. First name Sparkly, last name Twinkle. Don't get it twisted. I have no idea how to trade in this game, so I actually just left the jade hair ornament in front of the tree. And don't get your hopes up because I never come back here. I completely forgot about it. So you can tell me what it is in the comments, though. I found my first illusory wall, which was also awesome. But you know what wasn't awesome? That's right, getting jump scared by a robo-skeleton on either side of me in a tight corridor. I barely made it out with my life. And I took some crescent moongrass toast to calm myself down. I used a copper key to free Patches? Wait, this guy's Patches? I thought the other guy was Patches. Oh no, sorry, this is Bilge. But also a merchant. But he was selling sticky white stuff. Sticky white stuff? I think I'm gonna pass for now on that one, actually. I finally made it behind the demon from the tutorial area, but I was getting sniped by ice spears from flying stingrays. You know, sometimes my friends tell me I'm crazy when they hear me talking about Souls things, and I think I might be starting to see their point. I took out another menacing katana guy and picked up the Adjudicator's Great Shield. It's an awesome shield with really cool artwork and passive health regen. And that, stacked with my passive health regen ring, which I have, it's called like the Regenerator's Ring or something. I probably didn't show it, but I have it now. Safe to say, I was regenning pretty good. With my new shield in hand, I ran for my life, getting pelted by icicles from above, and this is honestly nothing new for me as I've had a lifetime of Canadian winters under my belt. I tried to tell this guy about how hard it is to shovel snow, but he got so bored he jumped off the cliff. One more scary katana guy stood between me and what I can only assume is a boss fog gate, because it had been a while, and I really hope I don't die, because this would be one hell of a jog to the fog. Yeah, we don't call them runbacks anymore, it's a jog to the fog. It's gonna be a thing. It was time to fight the Adjudicator. Hey wait, that's the guy on my shield. Small world. Screw Barefoot, ladies. This is the freakiest boss we've had in a FromSoft game. All he does is stand down there and lick me to death. And yes, the tongue can clip through the floors, which is sick. I had no idea what to do. As soon as I got up, I was tongue punched on my back and flustered once again. Death number 4. I made the jog to the fog once again, but this time I knew the tricks. I mean, I didn't really, I was just running around so the tongue couldn't get me as easily. I tried using soul remnants, but it didn't distract the boss. I guess that's more of a basic enemy type thing. And that just means it was time to put this weird bird head thing down in the ground. There can only be one bird thing around here, and it's me. I could stand on the edge and pepper its head with fire magic, and before you get mad at me, I don't care. This is my playthrough, and magic's OP. Also, if you actually really do care, I switched to melee pretty soon. The tongue was still gunning for my ass, but my strategy was working, although I'm pretty sure only the bird part of this boss can be damaged, but at least I was able to dodge some of the licks. The main strategy was just to go up and down the stairs, move through the boss arena vertically, confuse him, disorient him. Did it work? I don't know, probably not. It's like AI programming. It's not like anything I actually does has an effect on what he does. But did it work in my head? You bet your sweet ass it did. Hey, Mr. Owl, how many firebolts does it take to get to the mushy center of an Adjudicator? Well, let's find out. A 1? A 2? A 3? The world may never know. It was 10. I was then brutally reminded that just because I was in a boss arena doesn't mean aggro was gonna drop, and Mr. Katana Guy wanted revenge. Miss Phalange assisted me once again in leveling up, and I continued to pump magic because that's what you need in order to wield the large sword of moonlight, right? I kept going from the Adjudicator's boss room and ran into Bildrad again, or whatever his name was, and he warned me of a thief named Patches the Hyena. I certainly hope we don't get kicked off a ledge or anything. That would be a shame. What the frick is that? Well said, Nathan, who forgot to mute his mic. Forget Patches, the heckin' Grim Reaper is down there. I sprinted past everything because I was absolutely terrified, and I ran into a guy who had the same shield as me. I think I just met my second best friend. Next to Estrava, of course. Patches, my boy. Long time no see. He very graciously showed me a pit of treasure and then introduced his boot to my ass. Love that guy. I met a guy down here with a worse haircut than Petrus, and he too was shoved down the hole.
Umbasa.
Huh.
He said the thing. Umbasa, my brother. I tried to take out the red phantom from a distance, but damn it, this guy knew my weakness too. But I had another trick up my sleeve, the stability of a great shield. And it's a weird thing. When he hit me, when my great shield was up, he took damage. I don't know if that's just a thing in Demon Souls or a piece of equipment I'm wearing does that. I only noticed it while I was writing the script, but yeah, no idea where that damage was coming from. I foiled Patch's plan and he begged for forgiveness, and who could stay mad at him? Plus, I had an inkling that, just like in the other games, he would move to the Nexus and become a merchant. He gave me a second gash ring, and we called it even. I took out some of the ghostly fellows and then went to say hi to the Grim Reaper, who absolutely rocked and socked me in 2 shots. I am become death. Number 5. I had epiphany and decided to try and take out the big bad from up top with my ranged magic, and turns out he was just as squishy as I was. It also turns out that after killing the Grim Reaper, all the ghosts disappear, and reward a good chunk of souls. Not as good as that trap though. Death number 6. And Gen Alpha knows what comes next. I stood on a pressure plate opening a door, and lucky for me, I was about to experience the worst running section the game had to offer so far. That's right, more flying stingrays lobbing icicles in my general direction with no indication when or where they're coming from, paired with more mecha skeletons. After making it past the gold guys at the end, I was thrust into another room of Reapers and Revenants only to get roasted by a railgun. It's death number 7, and followed closely by death number 8. And 9. I love this game. Oh, look, we're in double digits now. I made it past the Cyclops beams and killed another Reaper who laughed like Zurg from Toy Story 2, and I was finally home free. Another fog gate of pure joy was in my future, and I don't know about you, but this looks like a boss arena to me. Ah, cutscene time. And this guy looks like he got his mouth sucked off by Randall's scream extractor. Anyway, I took out my wooden stick and lobbed a fireball in the old hero's face, and let's just say he didn't like that very much. I think I had my fill of that archstone for now and decided to press onward from the Armored Spider once again, and oh boy, it's a classic From Software platforming section. I love From Software platforming sections. Nothing ever goes wrong in a good old From Software platforming section. Down and down I went, being as careful as I could, and honestly, fall damage in this game isn't actually that bad. That is, until it is. Way to jinx it, moron. Say it with me. 12... I made it safely down and then descended the world's longest ladder, not by length, but by time spent on it, and then I ran from worms erupting from the ground before coming face to face with another super fun boss, the Flame Lurker. This guy does not look pleased, but cool boss design. Mr. Lurker here was a lot faster than the other bosses I had fought up until this point, and I was panicking a fair bit. I didn't do much damage, and I was back into my old habits of trying to use my iframes to dodge instead of positioning myself in advantageous ways. The explosions were big, they did a ton of damage, and I had a really hard time figuring out when it was my turn to get some hits in. I whipped out the magic once again, and the damage was good, but after my one good hit, I was sent packing back to the Archstone. Enough death counting for now. It's getting sad. I'll just update you at the end. I went back to Freak to change out a spell, and you may be thinking, yes, you're so smart, you have Water Veil, which greatly reduces fire damage taken. No, dummy, I have Poison Cloud. Let's see how good poison is in Demon Souls. Flame Lurker, more like Flame Jerker, I was determined to trivialize this fight with magic. It turns out the camera hates me more than the boss, but I was able to get my Poison Cloud off, and if you take out your magnifying glass, you can see that it is indeed doing, we'll call that damage. Yeah, not as much as my heckin' soul arrow though. I kept my distance and spammed spells whenever I had a free hour to do so. The range on this spell was actually kind of insane, and as long as I kept my distance, I never really felt like I was in too much danger. When things got dicey, I just ran away as fast and far as I could, took a moment to take a hit of grass, and continued to pepper him with my magic projectiles. And just like that, the Flame Lurker, the hot berserker, got taken out by this magical smirker. I went back to the Nexus and, popped the Flame Lurker's soul for some more levels. Surely, this was not the most idiotic thing that I did in my entire playthrough. Right? I also got my magic to 24, which meant it was finally time to wield the large sword of Moonlight, or so I thought. That's right, in this game, it's a faith requirement, and not a magic requirement, and because I just assumed, instead of, reading and looking at the funny pictures, I put levels into the wrong stat. For a long time. That is not the laugh of someone who's having a good time. That's the laugh of someone who's done recording for the night. I'm not going to bore you with the details of my farming session, but let's just say for an hour or two, I was sniping the Grim Reaper from above, collecting about 4,000 souls each time. Also, look at this. After some good old farming, I was finally closer to being able to wield my fancy schmancy sword, but decided it would actually be more fun to, I don't know, just actually play the game. So I headed back to the Valley of Defilement to see what other fun things were in store for me there. I ran like hell, and as I was running, I couldn't help but hear what sounded like Nito's scream and also the poison cloud sound from Dark Souls 1. It's kind of blowing my mind how many sound effects were reused in future games. I mean, I don't know why, it does make sense. Regardless, I came to another fog gate and met the next boss on my hit list, the motherfrickin' Dirty Colossus. And let's just say, this guy was so dirty, he made Pigpen look like Mr. Clean. The fight opened with a ranged attack from him that covered me in flies, which slowly drained my health, just like the Leechmonger. Very original, aren't we? And I don't know why some of my fire spells didn't hit, but who knows, maybe that's just how they balance casters. I rooted around in my inventory, found some more turpentine, and decided it was time to go to work, melee style. The thick crab-like skin was really cool, and once again the fire weakness was on full display, and I also found out that the fires in the arena were for more than just hurting myself and atmosphere. If I ran into them, I could rid myself of the Colossus's dirt. Classic gimmick fight. Much like other boss fights, it was all about running in, getting a couple hits off, and then running away to avoid retaliation. Or in my case, running away to heal, because I usually face-tanked the retaliation. I might be the biggest moron in the world though, because I refused to put the turpentine in my hotbar of items, and I had to go digging around in my inventory every time I wanted to reapply it to my sword. The sticky white stuff was tempting, but best stick to fire for now. Luckily, this guy didn't hit too hard, and once I had a way to get the flies off my back, there was nothing standing between me and victory. Well, besides menuing to get a little more turpentine going, but a few swings later, the Dirty Colossus was all cleaned up. Demon destroyed, baby. I popped the Eroded Soul and seeked me some more levels, and my faith was almost at the point to get the large Sword of Moonlight up and running. I decided to see what was beyond the Dirty Colossus, and it was like a ladder and 10 steps to the next boss fog gate. And this one was just a lady pondering her orb. Oh, wait, she has a mod there. Is that heckin' Veldstadt? Maiden Estrella was my target, but Garl Vinland over there definitely was not gonna let that happen. My goal was to get close, but he so desperately wanted to hit me with the banhammer. I tried my flame toss, but with him hiding behind that shield, it wasn't very effective. And he seemed to be immune to my poison throwing knives, so I used my great shield to get behind him and put the bastard sword where the sun don't shine, but he was swift to get up and deliver punishment. I switched to my small shield, and it was time to learn the parry timing, and also hope that he was parryable. Inner peace. He was indeed parryable, and I landed 2 beautiful ripostes, and then it was 3. I had him on the back foot, and he decided it would be a good idea to retreat towards his maiden. I got him with a 4th parry, and his health was down to a minuscule percent, and it was time to finish the job. The 2-handed swing did not seem parryable, and he was clearly trying to get a spell off, so I swapped to my ranged option. I was out of mana and had to sniff some spice, and it was at this point that he just decided to heal back to full health. And if that wasn't bad enough, I caught the damn plague again. And he was just puppy guarding Estrella. Not cool, bro. I was defeated. My will was broken. And along with it, my body. I came back, got him low, and once again he was able to retreat and heal to full health. And out of pure rage, I made a break for the lady and was quickly reminded about how far a mod will go to protect his streamer. I also found out that he can parry me. Touché, Garl. I was determined. I'll show you just how strong my resolve is, you knockoff. Well, I mean, I guess Veldstadt is the knockoff, but it doesn't matter. I was back to putting on the pressure. I parried him and then got around to his backside so he would have to go through me if he wanted to retreat for healing. And there's no way he was getting through me. She's never fallen for you, little bro, but you're gonna fall to me. He dropped his armor and oh my gosh, are you serious? After some inventory sorting, I ran to the maiden and gave her the old 1-2. She was kind of retaliating, and I was just swinging in such a blind rage that I didn't see the button to talk to her. But when I finally did, she just gave up. So now I feel like an asshole, I guess. That's kind of sad. But hey, I killed my first archdemon, so that's pretty fun. I tickled the demon inside the maiden in black, got my faith to 24, and I was finally able to wield my large Sword of Moonlight. My favorite sword in the FromSoft series was within my grasp. And I also gave some stuff to stockpile Thomas, just in case. I decided to explore what laid beyond the Flame Lurker's Archstone, and it was just a short jog to the fog before I was confronted with the most gimmick boss of all time. the Dragon God. I had no idea what I was supposed to do, and neither did my PlayStation, seeing as how one big punch from this gargantuan dinosaur was enough to cut my frames in half. I tried to bait him into clearing the rubble because that's what seemed to be the obvious solution. I mean, it's not like I had a big sword on my back or anything. Why needlessly put myself in harm's way? He grabbed onto the ledge to wind up another punch, and even that was enough to send my soul from my body. I was not having a good time, and I also was not learning from my mistakes. Just use the sword, idiot! However, my terrible strategy of making him clear the rubble for me got me to the first harpoon. This is the bed of chaos in dragon form, and it's just a shame I can't bypass all this with a couple firebombs. Absolute cinema. He does not look very pleased that I skewered him, but at least I smartened up and used my sword to start clearing the pillars, but even then I was no match for fists the size of a city bus, or better yet, in this case, flame breath. I guess he is the dragon god after all. But something finally clicked. I was able to use my keen observation skills to deduce that red eyes means attack mode and yellow eyes means neutral, which means I have a window to clear some rubble or get behind another pillar before he goes into red eyes rage mode. And that's exactly what I did. The first harpoon was loosed, and I don't know why, but the reveal that the dragon god is just sitting holding onto the cliff all dainty and demure is kind of funny. The journey to the second harpoon was even worse. I barely had a window large enough to break the debris that was in my path before I had to hide behind a pillar again. It was a real test of my patience. But I finally got to the second harpoon, skewered him, and now that the dragon's head was on my level, there was just one thing left to do. Well, two. Heal, because I almost got taken out by the subdued dragon, and then I was dragging this large sword of moonlight across its face. One more archdemon soul acquired. When I returned to the Nexus, I was greeted by a familiar face. I knew I wouldn't regret keeping old Patches alive. He's my second best friend after all. I sure hope nothing bad happens to him later. I finally went back to Stonefang Tunnel because I remembered there was another blacksmith in the game, and after many, many moons of wandering around, I found out that the shortcut back to the beginning of the level also led to Ed. And oddly enough, I was not able to upgrade my large sword of moonlight here either. It would be a real shame if one of the demon souls that I had previously consumed was actually a quest item for Ed that allowed him to upgrade your special weapons. It would be such a shame if that was the case. Yes, we will be finishing the game with a +0 weapon, and my idiocy shines brightly once again. It was time to head back to the area beyond the Fool's Idol because my power has at least doubled since the last time I was here. And I have really yet to comment on the raw damage of the large sword of moonlight, but even unupgraded, this thing kinda shreds. I did not, however, appreciate the airborne enemies in this area. Thank you. I made it to an elevator which led me to a strange gathering of cultists, and after they tried to pray my frames away, I took them all out, which loosed a chain that was wrapped around this big tentacled heart thing that also happened to have a snake around it. I could not even begin to tell you what that is. I got absolutely Sen's Fortressed once again, but decided quickly that the eerie tentacles and red water was not something I really wanted to venture into quite yet. But if you look closely, the very subtle placement of prism stones looked like it might be the right direction. Gotta love it when FromSoft holds your hand a little bit. Pointy Head McGee over here was locked in a cell, and he told me he also wanted to fight demons. So I let Lautrex Peepaw out of prison so that he could carry out his noble mission. But after that, the red water path looked like my only way forward, so I was forced to go down and fight maybe the most upsetting things I had ever seen in my entire life. What the hell were they smoking when they created these enemies? Probably crescent grass and fresh spice. And oh look, oh they have babies too. That's awesome. I made my way past Oswald, more of those things, and this is why I hate flying enemies. I died to the damn lock-on. Some people might call that user error, but I choose to blame the game. But I also, didn't die here, so we're not actually going to count that in the deaths. I take it back, game. You are perfect and precious, and you have never done anything wrong ever in your entire life. I made it to the other elevator and interrupted the second goon sesh around the campfire, and this time when the chain broke, the big heart thing fell all the way down and hatched more of those head spiders. Very upsetting. I was on pest control duty and made my way down to investigate the product of my puzzle-solving skills, and I found the Ring of Avarice. And I'm really glad that I didn't pay the lady in prison 50,000 souls for hers. This is the second time it's happened now, but as I was going up the spiral stairs, it appeared that my fire magic canceled out the magic grab attack of the tentacle monsters. Either that or I'm just the luckiest player that has ever graced this game with their presence. Let's go with the second one. At the top was a fog gate and I was confronted by the man-eater. Hey Siri, play Hall & Oates. Wait, no, don't do that. I need the money from this video. I'll do it myself. She'll only come out at night. The lean and hungry type. Nothing is new, I've seen her here before. Watching and waiting. Oh, she's sitting with you for the rise around the door. Doom, doom. Whoa, here she comes. Watch out, boy, she'll chew you up. Whoa, here she comes. She's a man-eater. Man-eater. And as it turns out, there are actually two man-eaters. I got hit by the classic From Software Bamboozle. I also got hit by the greed within me and was playing way too aggressively for a boss I had never seen before. So, we go again. We go again. The Man-Eater's moveset was infuriating, and to make matters worse, the narrow bridge that I had to fight them on made it feel like there was little room for error. And if that wasn't bad enough, they also like to just fly away. But I'm your worst nightmare, pal, because I got fire in my back pocket. I also had a fun time using my poison spray spell again, and I was able to get the first human muncher low by the time the second one got called in for help, and narrowly escaped my demise because this idiot wanted one more chance to fly before he died. One man-eater was manageable. I had my ranged option, I had my R1 spam stick, and after lots and lots of stalling, the man-eaters had their last meal. And I was not on the menu this time. Just after the man-eaters, I got hit with a cutscene, and is that heckin' Xanthus King Jeremiah? I feel like I'm watching a very important origin story here. Guys, can I get a lore check, please? I climbed the most dangerous staircase I had ever seen in my entire life, and boy am I glad that the large sword of Moonlight has a vertical slash, otherwise I'd be screwed. Also, I think the tentacle monsters are inspiration for the Pisaka in the Duke's Archives in Dark Souls 1. I'm not really sure which ones I hate more. Oh boy, it's an NPC fight. The old heckin' monk. We love NPC fights because if there's one thing we can do, that's exploit backstabs. And that's exactly what I did. The old keep walking around in circles with my shield up, and once they stand there confused that their attack didn't land, I have ample time to go around and whoop, did it from the back. The yellow motes of light looked like piss and hit like it too. I just ignored them and kept going to town on the old monk's trunk. And just like that, 6 or 7 hits later, the old monk sold and stunk. Eat and die, idiot. When I got back to the Nexus this time, I was greeted by a harrowing organ solo. What is this, Curse of Strahd? Who's playing that? Is this just endgame music, or is this, ooh, there's something lurking in the shadows music? I caught up with this butt plug, and he was once again very grateful for being freed. If only there was something he could do to repay me, like give me that armor set or something. It was time to go back to the cave of wub-wub ghosts that shot plasma out of their face holes, and I nimbly dodged them all and decided to give the old hero another go. Bro really looks like Larry after he got his lip stuck in a gate. 10 days after he turned 8. Usta. The gimmick of this boss that I learned is that he's blind. And whenever you hit him or make noise, he'll just kind of throw some wild strikes in your general direction. I was reduced to a fraction of my HP bar, but more determined than ever to lock in. And I hid behind a pillar because he's blind. I don't know, it felt like I had to hide behind a pillar. It just felt like I had to hide, okay? I swapped to melee attacks because it felt safer to run in, pop him in the ass, and then run out as fast as I could. And this fight took forever. It was more of a test of patience for me than the Dragon God. I wasn't doing the best to, like, not get hit, but I was learning the boss enough that I wasn't dying instantly, which is pretty good. I also got naked in hopes that me wearing armor would reduce the noise I was making somehow. I have no idea if it worked, but hey, I'll take the placebo. Many minutes of slashing and running later, the old hero was no longer blind. Because he was dead. The next boss was immediately after it, and oh, look, it's the Storm King! Oh, it's a Mama Storm King. Oh, that's nice. This looks like it's gonna be really, really unfun. I also realized I was still in my undies, so I panic swapped back to my armor while the stingrays were flapping in 10 FPS. The sheer volume of icicles being hurled at my dome was enough to get my Apple Watch concerned, and I panic rolled all the way down to the beach because clearly there was something here that would help me deal with these floppy fricks. And I found the Storm Ruler. It was the original Storm Ruler, the first Storm Ruler, and it felt comfortable in my hands. Like saying hello to an old friend. I ran around and took out the children like I was Anakin Skywalker executing Order 66, and Well, they weren't pleased, to say the least. I thought it would be more of an intense fight, I won't lie. I mean, sure, the volley of frosted harpoons was pretty intense, but the music and atmosphere, it all just felt like it was lacking something. I signed up to fight the Storm King, and what did I get? The frickin' Drizzle Duke. I don't see any storms around here. What a wimp. I found asylum in an old abandoned fort, and from the relative safety of the crumbled walls, I was able to take out all the children and then focus on the Big Mama, which was really awesome and not painstaking at all to wait for her to finish her big loop and then finally get one shot off. This fight aged me 10 years, and when it was all said and done, the storm had passed and the king was dethroned. Although, I still think it's a queen. I went back to the Archstone of the Tower Knight. Yeah, remember that guy? That was like ages ago. I started ravaging the streets of Boletaria, decimating everything in my path. They tried to get me with a classic boulder trap, and when that didn't work, they went right for the jugular, my heckin' frame rate once again. And then Mr. Cobblepot over there hit me with an aura farming cutscene, and I had no choice but to find an alternate path. I have found that throughout the game, the level design is pretty straightforward, and they're short segments. It's like little fun-sized candy bars. Yes, they leave me satisfied, but they also leave me wanting more. Which is to say, I beat this game in like 3 sessions. I literally could not bring myself to put it down until I was dead tired at night. It was a good time. I also mentioned at the beginning of the video that I didn't like heals being consumables, and I wasn't sure how I would feel about it, but honestly, with merchants like Patches and the blacksmiths and everyone else that can sell you grass, it doesn't feel like that big of an issue. I stuck it to the man and got revenge for the poor lad crushed in the gate, and I also saved Ostrava once again from getting his ass beat. He's a little confused, but we love him anyway. Hey buddy. Hey, the fight's over here. I made my way up a flight of stairs reminiscent to the start of the game and finally caught up to the head adjudicator. I couldn't wait to squash this guy. I've been looking at his smug face since the beginning of the game. Holy shit, he just got penetrated. This boss was by far my favorite of the entire playthrough. The Penetrator. The music was peak. And you know what I say about a big guy with a big sword. I live for fights like this. A lot of bosses in this game are gimmicks, but this one felt like a skill check. This one felt like, if you can't beat me, quit now. This was a Dark Souls boss, not like any of the other bosses I had been fighting before. There were still only a few attacks in the arsenal, but they came out fast, and it felt like he had some combos and mix-ups, and the blue light trail on the sword made it feel awesome and powerful. I panic rolled a lot at the start, but after I calmed down, this fight kind of felt like a dance. And out of respect for the Penetrator, no magic was used. My iframes either felt like they were actually useful in this fight, or I was just getting used to the timings of the dodging in this game. After some early back and forth, I was in the zone, and the Penetrator was defeated on the first try. But unlike any of the other fights in this game, I wished it would keep going. This one was definitely a highlight for me. And I'm kind of glad that my weapon is unupgraded, because if it was upgraded, this fight would have been very short. I went back to feel some levels, and then I went to Patches to get... I'm sorry, Patches is dead? I scoured the Nexus for who could be responsible for this, and it was him. The guy I freed from prison. His name was Yurt, and he was an assassin. If only this was on a loading screen somewhere earlier in the game. It turns out the demons he was hunting were the surviving humans, and after Patches, I was next on his list. I gave Yurt a swift stab in the ass and picked up... Damn it, dude. Pushing past the Penetrator, I took out some red phantoms with my patent-pending backstab method. Sharks, today I am seeking $1 million in exchange for 3% of my company. Yeah. Okay, they're out. Oh wait, I forgot. Screw Shark Tank. This is Dragon's Den. I ran across the first rampart as fast as the adjudicator would let me and narrowly escaped with my life, only to get absolutely cooked on a staircase immediately afterwards. On my way back was finally when I figured out that the silver coronet raised my maximum MP and not HP. So I switched to the adjudicator's cap and let's just say, I'm coming for you, princess. I equipped my ring of fire resistance and a shield that would also block the flame and ran up the stairs to meet Ostrava, who was waiting for me on the other side. Yes, he is my princess. He gave me a key and also told me that I had to kill his papa. I will do my best, my friend. It was a sad and emotional moment for me. My friend, who I had saved many a time, was dead. Wait a minute, Ostrava? You gotta stop playing with my emotions like this, man. However, I did tell him that I was still planning to kill his father, and he just couldn't take that news. Rest in peace, Ostrava. Maybe in the next life you'll learn how to use your sword. Also, since he yeeted himself, I was unable to retrieve any of the loot. This was it, the moment I've been waiting for. An elevator, thank goodness. I freaking hate the stairs. Oh yes, and the boss. The boss is cool too. It was Colonel Mustard on the rooftop of a crumbling castle with a poorly designed sword. I mean, sure, it looks cool. I mean, so does a keyblade, but they're not practical. Old King Allant had big flashy attacks, and honestly, the range was kind of insane. He had a dash attack that would cover the entire arena and a projectile of wind, I guess? I don't know. I wasn't doing a lot of damage, but thankfully he wasn't doing too much either. I had plenty of late moongrass to keep myself healed up, and I was also tanking more hits than I'd care to admit. His big AoE was a great opportunity for healing, and he also just sometimes paused after combos. He also liked to approach menacingly, just slowly walking in my general direction for fun, I guess. I don't know. Crazy aura too, though. A lot of the projectiles caught me while I was rolling, but thankfully they were usually at the end of combos and didn't have a follow-up. And then, a shocking turn of events, I was caught in a grab attack that drained a level from me. Are we serious? What if I only had enough levels to wield my weapon? Like, what if I only had 24 faith, and then that level sucked goodbye faith, and now I can't use my weapon? Has that happened to anyone? That's absolutely insane. This might be a worse grab attack than Sir Alon. I did my best to not be too greedy, and my main priority was keeping my health topped up. I would always have another chance to get a hit in as long as I stayed incredibly high. It was a sloppy fight, and I'm not sure if I'm proud of it or not. I didn't really learn it too well, but after a grueling 8 minutes, Sir Alon goes down on the first try. How do you like that, m'lady? It was time to be beckoned by the old one, and that's when the most upsetting thing of the entire playthrough happened. I had to pee. And then when I got back from peeing, I kind of beat the game and then looked over and I wasn't recording. So here it is to the best of my knowledge. I went back to 1-1 and killed an angry lady with an axe who gave me some insane drip, and then I had a grudge match with who I assume is Ostrava's real father? No idea, but he gave me Soul Brand, or Demon Brand, or one of them, I can't remember, and then the lady in black asked me to rub her feet, and I said no, so we went to go see the old one. And then I took 2.5 minutes to kill a weird, defenseless slug monster. Very anticlimactic final boss, whatever, and now we're here. After all that, she wants to leave me for the old one? Did me touching the demon inside her not mean anything? Okay, whatever. I was completely dripped out, and I left Soul's mommy behind in the old weird butthole cave. And with that, I have beaten Demon's Souls. Sorry, Demon's Souls. The original version. I absolutely loved this game, and I can't wait to play it again. The remake, too. It felt like a very fitting first installment of the Souls franchise, and I am very glad that I played the original first. Sure, it had some awkward moments, but the bosses were awesome, the levels were super immersive, and I found my beloved Moonlight. The game also just felt very smooth, you know, aside from the PlayStation 3 issues. I hope you enjoyed the video, I appreciate you, thank you very much to my members, and I'll catch you in the next one.
Let strength be granted so the world might be mended.
Hey look, more feet!